Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jen Silva, the Associate Director of Alumni Engagement. On behalf of our office, as well as Stonehill Athletics and the Development Office, I would like to thank you for joining us today for Coffee with the Coaches. Before we get underway, a few logistics for today's event. If everyone could please type their full name, the location from which you're joining us, and whether you are an alum, a student, or a current parent. And sure, if you're a soccer alum and you want to throw your class year in there, that would be great. We will keep all microphones muted during the presentation, but please feel free to type any questions that you may have for a coach or for the students into the chat box, and we'll make sure that we get them answered for you. And without further ado, I will pass the microphone over to Assistant Director of Athletics and moderator of today's event, Doug Monson.
Great, thanks, Jen, and certainly want to welcome everyone to today's Coffee with the Coaches. Our fourth of the fall, and we certainly have enjoyed doing them. And we welcome the men's soccer world to our edition today. So we're joined today by head coach Jim Reddish. He's in his 13th season as the head coach of the program. He's an alum of the program. He's a 1996 graduate and has led the Skyhawks to 3 NE10 tournament appearances over his time. He's also joined today by captains junior Luke Fuller and senior Mike McShane. But I'll turn it over to Coach Reddish, and I'm sure he has a little bit, he can give you a little bit more information on our 2 student athletes joining today.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. In the world we live in, these Zooms are becoming more common. I've actually had a lot of fun the last month connecting with recruits on Zoom, and just to be able to connect with alumni and parents and fans right now is going to be great. So it's been an interesting fall. This would have been my 19th season coaching at Stonehill if you count my time as an assistant coach, and it's been unlike any other. I think everybody here has been put their best foot forward to make the best of it, from the staff and everyone on campus right down to the students. And I have to tip my hat to the students for what they've done and sacrificed this semester on campus as a whole, and just the players on our team. I've just been very impressed with their positive attitude in a time that it's very easy to get down and frustrated, when we started off slowly with our practices, but they kept their heads up. They worked hard, to their credit, because they're motivated, because they're here and they're committed to this college and to our program, for when we do play again, that we'll get some great results. So I've invited on the call today my 2 captains for this year. And just to say something about these 2, I don't usually name captains to right before the season starts in preseason, because typically when you end the season and then you start the next year, a lot can happen between November and August. And I like to see how it plays out at times and see what juniors might step up and take a leadership role, what young underclassmen might do that, because a lot of times we have juniors studying abroad. But at the end of last season, it was very clear to us who was going to lead us into this fall, and that was Luke Fuller and Michael McShane. And Michael is a local recruit from Pride of Needham, Mass, my hometown, my first and only recruit out of there to date. But he came in and his claim to fame right off, scoring in overtime in his first game as a freshman, and I think he scored in his first 2 games here at Stonehill. And Luke, who is from Bishop Feion High School in Rehoboth, did a year up at Bridgeton Academy, and then came here and has been a huge asset to us. And obviously, if he's being named a junior captain, and I haven't had a lot of those, that speaks highly of his role in what he means to this program, whether we played him out at left back or left mid. He plays wherever we need him on a given day. And sometimes it's different places in the same game, because we just know we need him on the field. So him and Michael have been a big part of the program and great leaders for us. So I welcome them.
Great, thanks, Coach, and welcome to Luke and Mike as well. Coach, just I guess to start us off, you kind of touched on kind of the mentality of the team here through the fall, but just talk about what you guys. We are actually kind of nearing the end of the fall session here. 1 week plus left of in-person classes here at Stonehill. What have you been able to accomplish with the team during the different phases, and maybe talk to us to what those phases have meant for you as a program?
Well, to give people an idea, we started off extremely conservative and slow, very frustrating for the players and coaches. But when you take a step back and you think of the big picture of why we're doing it, it's easy to understand and realize the college has done it right. I think we've been very successful with our low testing, our positive rates compared to other colleges and staying out of the news. That's, the big picture and why we're here, so we can play in our season in March and April. But we had to start slow. And, after a couple of weeks, we were in groups of 5. And I have 22 players on campus. 6 players decided to stay home and study remote this semester, which is fine. We'll welcome them back in January. But we started in groups of 5. And then a few weeks later, we were able to move to groups of 7 or 8. But really no live play, no scrimmaging, no playing against each other. These guys would come out for an hour and do skill training with masks on, separated, and they kept their heads up. We had some hot weather and cold weather, adjusting to the mask took some time, but they kept it on. And, that took us, after 7 weeks, we finally were able to get the gift of just being able to play in 2 groups of 11, not against each other, but playing 5 versus 5 in practice. I think the week of October 26th, finally felt like we're playing real soccer and being able to see what we have, because we have a group here with 22 guys on campus. 11 of them are freshmen. So half of the group is new to the school. And that was a huge adjustment for us and them, not only acclimating to the team and building team chemistry, but they all have masks on. And I'm trying to read if they're, how they're doing, and I can't even see their facial expressions. So, and I do a lot of observing, and Coach Gail, who's on the call here, has done an excellent job running a lot of the technical training sessions. That's a passion of his. And just watching is my observing role. Sometimes I can't tell if the kids or guys were doing good or bad. But so that was an adjustment. But as time went on and we got this beautiful weather the last few weeks, it really, we're fortunate to be able to play and finally see what we have. And that's the exciting part, because I've been Zooming with probably over 60 recruits the last month, trying to meet people through Zoom because they're not allowed to come in and visit campus and do tours and meet me. And they said, "Coach, what do you need?" And I said, "Well, I don't really know yet, because I brought in 12 new players and we haven't even been able to play live." So we finally got that perspective to see what we have and what we're excited about. We're bringing in a big class and filled in a lot of needs. So the last 2 weeks have been really fun, and we have 1 week to go. And as the weather starts to change, we just want to finish this semester strong, staying in these groups and getting as much time as we can before they go home for Thanksgiving, because we won't see them back till the beginning of February.
Great, thanks, Coach. Luke and Mike, maybe you talk about your perspective of the fall and kind of what it's been like, and working through the different phases, and maybe just talk to us also the expectations you guys have with regards to testing and keeping the campus and your team safe.
Yeah, so kind of to echo a lot of what Coach said, it's definitely been a big adjustment the way the fall has been, just because we've all grown up playing soccer our whole lives. And then now with the current situation, it's completely different and kind of have to change how you approach things. At first, it was nice just to get started in those small groups, especially since we hadn't been together as a group in such a long time. So at least just being on the field together was nice, even though it was in a very restricted capacity. But then going through it, it was definitely just kind of, you were hoping that the team and the school was going to do well on testing, just because everyone wanted to move forward as quickly as possible, just because as players, we want to play and compete with each other. And so kind of waiting for that was a challenge, but it's something that the team did a good job of understanding the situation and how the school was handling things. And people on the team had a really positive attitude, which helped. And then with the testing going, that's something that after the first few weeks, it ended up being really smooth, because once the students got the hang of it, you could get in and out in like 10 minutes to get a test. So it really wasn't such a big burden on us in terms of time. And just the past few weeks, being able to play and compete, even though we're not able to play as like a full team in a full-sided game against each other. Even competing within the small groups has been something that's really been a great way to kind of finish off the semester, because a lot of schools, like we all have friends at schools who have got sent home or have had issues. So us being able to make it through the semester and now being able to practice in a semi-normal way has been a good way to kind of finish off the semester.
And to add on to that too, obviously Michael last spring was abroad in England. So, I had the luxury of actually being in the spring season with a couple of the guys that stayed behind. And obviously it was different back then because we didn't really know and expect what was going to happen come this fall. So obviously like the team dynamic was a big question of, how that was going to go. But I think this fall it turned out to be great just because just like Coach Reddish said, I think a lot of guys stayed positive, and I think we're really hopeful for, a positive outcome just because we are putting in a lot of hard work right now, given, the restrictions that we have. But we're staying hopeful, and I give credit to a lot of the younger guys on the team. A lot of the younger guys on the team, just because this is a new environment for them. They're coming from high school, and I don't think they envisioned their first year of college soccer or, college in the classroom like what is going on today. But I think Stonehill is doing a great job, especially with testing. I mean, our percentages are really low compared to, the outside world of Stonehill. And I have a brother who goes to PC, and, obviously that's a big hotspot for this virus. And I think we're doing a really good job here. And I think Stonehill's handling it in a really appropriate way where we're still able to get some freedom and some flexibility, especially as student athletes. So.
Great, thanks. Coach, you talked about, 11 freshmen. Has there been a positive, if there is one, of, having the ability to bring them along and get them incorporated over a longer period of time, where you could see that the benefits of that down the road?
Absolutely. I mean, we usually have 17 days at most to get ready for our first game, and then you're thrown right into the fire. So some guys we throw in right away. Some guys it might not be till October till they're ready, and then some guys, we call it the sophomore jump, that if they didn't get their time as a freshman that off season, playing in the spring with the 5 scrimmages, usually with the juniors abroad and the seniors off doing their thing, they get a lot of time and get caught up the speed and the size of play at this level, and maybe put on some muscle in our strength and conditioning program. Well, now we kind of get to do that before we play a game in March and April. So that's just going to be an interesting dynamic that we're not used to. I mean, even that, and then training in the winter is something we really haven't had to do. Research and programs how to get in shape in January and February. Usually we come back and we don't play till March and April, but the fitness levels aren't the same as they are in August and September. So we're going to adjust to that. But so given that time for the freshmen is huge, because now they've kind of got acclimated. Now they haven't played against anybody yet, and it's a big class, and there's a lot of talent there. I think this spring, it'll be a little bit less stressful and less, I'm hoping for less of not thrown into the fire, a little bit more time to prepare, because even when we come back, we're going to have February and half of March before first game. So it's new for the coaching staff, and it's going to be an interesting perspective that we're looking forward to it to take advantage of that time.
Great. And just a reminder, please do feel free to, submit any questions in the chat at any time as we go along. We'll get to them as soon as we can. But Coach, you mentioned also having some remote guys. Talk about, what that's been like, trying, keeping them engaged and, a part of the program while, a lot of the guys are here, practicing a couple of days a week.
Very difficult. Other than some texts and some emails, I've been working the last 2 weeks trying to set up a Zoom, but a couple of us are like ships passing in the night because they're in classes at different times. Some of them are working jobs, either morning or night. And I've been keeping the team in the loop on email, but I'm really looking forward to getting them back in person where it's much easier.
Look, and Mike, take us, what's campus life right now for you guys, and during this new normal that we have this semester?
I think it's a lot more quiet, in a good way. obviously there are numerous changes on campus, but I think, like I said, I think Stonehill's doing a great job with applying these changes, but still making it feel like it's the place we know it is. I would say like the diamond, like for food, for instance, now we have to order ahead, which it makes it easier. Obviously, you don't have to wait in those long lines and stuff. But in terms of classroom and stuff, it's kind of hit or miss. I mean, some classes are online, some are in person, or you might have a class that meets Tuesday and then you're online Thursday. So it definitely is a bit of a curveball, but we've had a couple months now. I feel like I think everyone's in the swing of things, and yeah, I can't really complain about much. I think campus life is pleasant, to say the least.
Yeah, kind of going off that, to start, it kind of has the feel that we've almost been in like preseason for so long, because in preseason it's usually really quiet. So now that we're here and there's just so many less kids, there's just less kids on campus, so campus is quieter. So it kind of has that like peaceful feel, and you have your space kind of when you go around campus, which is nice. It was definitely a big adjustment at first, just because not being able to go to other dorms freely like we used to was definitely an adjustment, just not being able to go hang out with friends in that manner. But over time, you kind of like adjusted and made it work and found ways to do that in a way that abided by the college's rules, doing things where you see more people outside. But for the most part, it's just been something to adjust to. And now is at this point, we're just kind of used to how everything is.
Great. We have a question from alum Joe Nipper. Coach, can you just, he's coming from New Jersey. He's a referee there, and kind of talks about what's going on there in his state for high school soccer. Can you just talk about what's going on in Massachusetts, and maybe just talk about, you talked about doing a lot of Zooms for recruiting. What the recruiting process has been like for you this fall?
Well, depending on who I talk to, even within Massachusetts or New York, New Jersey, depending on where you live, some kids are playing and some kids are not. And that's what's made this is extremely difficult year. You think about, we go back to March, right when we would typically have started watching players and recruit in the spring showcases and start getting ready. We would have just finished the incoming class and get working on, at the time, juniors in high school. We lost all of that. We lost the entire spring. I would have hosted a couple of clinics here in April. We lost the summer. We lost the clinics that we usually have in preseason. And then just the ability to get out to games with all the restrictions has been very difficult. So as I arrived back on campus, recruits, very stressed. And I have a daughter who's a senior, not looking to play, but I kind of lived it on the parent side. Hard to visit campuses when campuses are closed, hard to meet coaches, hard to have coaches come and evaluate you. So there's a little bit of anxiety and stress on, being seen and, especially by the college of their choice. So one of the things I did, locally, Massachusetts was playing, but they had to play with masks on, with modified rules, which none of the other states around us were doing, from no throw-ins to no heading and indirect kicks. It was a bit crazy at times. It was hard to judge if a kid was a good defender because they pretty much blew the whistle when there was contact. So that was a bit tough, but then you have kids in Connecticut, New York playing and sending video. And so what we kind of had to do to adapt was two things. Never watched more video in my life, which is hard to do on a laptop. And my assistants both took a day off from their full-time jobs, and we committed to watching over 100 kids in one day just to get caught up, because I couldn't handle the volume of the videos that were coming in, because that was the only way to start, a recruiting board. So we watched all those videos and kind of made a list from there. And there was an ID clinic we were at last weekend, reached out to some coaches, and I got to a few local games, but it's definitely hasn't been easy. And then on the flip side of that, I had to get creative and basically create a virtual visit. Our admissions office is a great website with a lot of videos and overhead drone shots that I try to share that, to try to simulate a visit. And then I kind of basically filmed myself what I would say to them if they were sitting in my office with their parents. And, you know, that was ended up being about 20, 24 minutes. And I sent that to any kid that requested it just to save time. And then they scheduled a Zoom with me. And I said, I think I'm up over 60 kids right now in the last month to just really kind of fill in that blank of the meeting and learning about our program. And I encouraged everybody to apply by our early decision deadline, which is on Sunday. So we will, you know, we'll have close to 100 applicants probably by the end of the weekend. And we've seen maybe half of them play now, which was a lot better than September when we hadn't seen a lot of those. And I just tell them to relax. We have time. I will continue to evaluate in the coming month while the admissions process is running its course. And of course, we can, you know, communicate and hopefully speed up the process for those that would become really high on. So it hasn't been the normal process as usual, but every school's in the same boat. I mean, Division I schools can't even recruit right now. They're still in a dead period. So that leaves a lot of kids wondering what they're going to do. And so we do have the advantage where we can communicate and hopefully get out to local games. They know the interstate travel is really tough. And but on the fortunate side for Stonehill, we only have 4 seniors. So we did bring a big class in last year. So I don't need to bring in a big class. So we do have the luxury to just be a little bit more patient and methodical about how we're going to fill those 4 spots.
Great. Question from another alum, Rich Wackel, class of 83 and parent of a Stonehill student, Matt. Aside from a donation earmarked to your program, what other ways can, you know, the alumni help to advance your program? And we'll certainly talk about the donation part towards the end, but you know, what are some other ways we can talk about? They can help.
Hi, Rich. Thanks for that question. Good to see you. I met Rich a couple years ago, and he's been a great friend of the program, and it's great to see his son here at Stonehill. The last few years, and I know we've got some alumni on this call. I see Keegan from last year. He's now in that group. We already miss him, but the alumni from my years and before me and after me have really stepped up. I mean, we're kind of, as a young school, the alumni are kind of hitting their stride right now. We're stepping up and becoming more involved in the program. And, you know, it was difficult in the early years. We spent so much time recruiting and trying to, you know, maybe host an alumni game and, you know, just trying to improve a lot of aspects of the student athlete experience. And then the last 5 years, we've really stepped it up with the help of the staff here at Stonehill. My assistant coaches have allowed me to focus a little bit more energy on that. And we've got great support. And what that support has done is allowed me to improve the student athlete experience here. And, you know, we talk about our challenges here at Stonehill. I have no problem getting kids interested in our program, but when they get here, I want to make sure it's a first class experience, from taking buses and not vans to the games, and making sure we have enough meal money and staying in hotels if we have long road trips, or maybe taking a road trip to start the season like we did last year down in Philadelphia. This year we were supposed to open up in Buffalo and Rochester. So those contributions have gone a long way, even to getting the guys, look at the gear they're wearing. They get good Stonehill gear, and used to be the guys were buying all their gear. And now I've got to the point now where I'm able to contribute a lot of our fundraising to make sure the guys are all wearing the same stuff in preseason, looking good. But so that's all well and good. And I know you probably were going to mention that at the end, but as far as the alumni go, just their engagement, and it's a lot easier to become engaged now with our games online. And I spent a lot of time in COVID working on our YouTube channel and getting some old highlights and pictures on Facebook. And there's more of that to come once we get after Thanksgiving and kind of finish our practice season. But really enjoyed hearing from alumni, and I think they're getting a kick out of, you know, going down memory lane. And one of the ideas we had that got railroaded by COVID last April is we were just going to have an alumni reunion event up at Alumni Hall. One of our alums, Jeff Bonomo, came to me with this idea, and he really spearheaded getting a lot of alumni from his era. And what I realized is, you know, I've got a lot of people from my era and the people behind me. I know a lot of people now from pretty much the early 80s now, with Rich through now, you know, outside of a little gap at the late 90s. I've been around this program a long time, and trying to get a group of alumni from each kind of 4 or 5 year period and creating an alumni council just to help with the engagement of alumni. And all we want to do is just get the alumni together once or twice a year for an event, and just for fun and to connect, whether it's a watch party at, back when things were normal, for a big USA or EPL game at a restaurant or bar in Boston, or going or having a pregame tailgate at a Revolution game, or having an alumni game and cookout here on campus. Like, just to get the help with the alumni to get the attendance better, is something we were working on. And that it all got stalled in April when we had to cancel that alumni reunion event, which was looking to have a great turnout. And it was just going to be a fun night of getting together and not having to worry about lacing up the cleats and seeing if you can still run. It was just going to be fun. And I think that's the biggest thing I want to do moving forward, is just if we can get participation in these events. I think the more people come, the more fun it will be, and people will come back each year.
Coach, expand on that a little bit with, you're one of a handful of alumni coaches we have here at Stonehill. Both soccer programs, our athletic director is also a men's soccer alumni. Talk about that pride you have and that little extra that, you bring to your program as someone who's been a product of the program and, can kind of, have a little extra touch as an alum.
I just think it brings a passion, a loyalty. I mean, a lot of us are loyal, can say loyal to a fault sometimes. We're just so ingrained in this place and are blessed to be here and realize how special it is. I've been fortunate to be around here. I just met so many great people here. I met my wife here. I got married in the chapel here. Father John, our president, was doing the alumni weddings back 19 years ago, and he married my wife and I. So I just have a huge connection to the community here, that I think just we take it personally when things aren't going well. We want things to be better. There's winning and losing, and why we train is to win games, but there's just so much more to it. And for me, it's about bringing in good people, and we're going to compete every year, and plus or minus a few wins based on a bounce of a ball or a call here or there. The journey that these guys are taking is what it's about. And I take a lot of pride in making sure I bring good people into this program, and a lot of high academic kids that work hard, and they're going to be good alumni, because I'm not going anywhere. I know they're the brand of this program in this school for the future health of this school outside of athletics. And I've always seen that bigger picture. It's just not, I couldn't tell you how many games I've coached or won. I don't care. It's just about each season and what, creating a great student athlete experience for the guys. And I tell them I already had my time here. I'm not looking to relive my glory years or whatever. I just want to make theirs as special as mine was. And I think as alums, we just take a little bit more pride and a little bit more long-term focus on our goals here, because for the most part, most of us are here. We're not looking to jump to another school or use that stepping stone to have someone get us somewhere else. I mean, I feel lucky to be here.
Luke and Mike, maybe touch on that a little bit, maybe not, coach specifically, but, what kind of, how much of a factor was that? Or, if it wasn't, but how good has it been to have, a member, your head coach who's, a Stonehill grad, and maybe some of your interactions you may have had with some of the alumni. I think, people don't understand how rich of a history men's soccer has here at Stonehill. It's one of our older programs outside of men's basketball we have here. And it, there's an alum here from the 70s, one from the early 80s, and, a long, list. And what's been your experience with the alumni and having one as a coach?
Yeah, so kind of similar to what Coach said, there's a lot of great people that have came through the program. And I know for Luke and I, a bunch of our closest friends here at Stonehill have been teammates, both guys who are gone now and guys that are still here. And just a little story, this summer I was working at a soccer camp evenings in kind of late August, and ended up, I was just walking around. I had a Stonehill shirt on, and some guy who was there just came up to me and asked if I went to Stonehill. Turned out he was a Stonehill soccer alum, and we ended up having a great conversation. And then saw him the next few nights after the camp, and we kept talking. And I think that just kind of shows the kind of people that come through this community. And like I said earlier, it's just everyone really that comes to Stonehill and plays for this team, I feel like for the most part has a really great experience, not only on the field, but also just with the other people on the team. And I think that's been one of the most special parts of being part of this program, is just getting to know the guys and making friends and just playing soccer together.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I think it does separate our program and our community from a lot of different schools and a lot of different soccer programs, just because we do have people who we're fortunate to know, like Coach, and like our past teammates who are now our alums, like Keegan, who's on this call right now. I think it's very special, the kind of connections we carry on with one another after college, and it kind of, has led the path for us to hopefully give back when we're alums. And it's just a very special thing to see from our perspective now, how dedicated alumni are to our program as well as other programs and our Stonehill community. So I think it's a very special thing, and you don't really see, at least I haven't really seen that much, dedication and connection to the community when people do leave college. And I think Stonehill is the complete opposite. I think we all love this campus. We all love the people that we meet here. And I think that carries on for your entire life. So.
Doug, I just want to add to that, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I get asked this question a lot, about the community and our team, and even from coach friends that I coach against or just see on the recruiting trail. I had a coach come up to me before one of our games one time, and he looks at me, he goes, "Wow, all your players want to be on your team." And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "They all want to go to your school." He's like, "Half of my guys are here just because we were the only place that would take them, or we had a scholarship for them, and they came in from overseas." And we play in such a hard league, and one of the reasons we try and compete is to rise to the challenge. But I've got guys that they take pride. When they commit, they want to go to the bookstore and get the sweatshirt. Like Stonehill's their school. They want to come to school here and get that high level of academics, but still play a high level of soccer. And we offer that. So I feel like the guys are more invested because they're here for the reasons that they want to be. They have skin in the game. They're here. Their families are paying. And so I just think there's more of a pride in what we're doing. And, and we have some days where we're challenged, but we never back down from it. So, the losses hurt, but the wins are even sweeter. And I think just their ability to want to be here, and, they all had good choices. And we have kids that, especially the last few years, the way we're recruiting high academically, choices to go to a lot of good schools, and they're coming here. And I think when they step on the field, they all kind of have that same drive and reason why they're here. So they gel pretty quickly. And, I take it personally every time we lose a game. When I see Stonehill, like if I was coaching somewhere else, I don't think it would hurt as much. And I think the guys feel like, we're all in it and on the same page in that sense.
Outstanding. Mike, I have a similar T-shirt story from a concert outside of Fenway Park where I'm just walking around, and someone yells down from one of the balconies, "Stonehill Soccer." So that's certainly interesting. I had me wearing that T-shirt that day. Mike, I just want to ask you, you work with a couple of organizations here on outside of soccer. One being Hope Happens Here, and you're also, your team's SAC representative. Specifically, Hope Happens Here. I just want, maybe some of the alumni aren't aware of what that is about. It's a new organization here on campus. Can you just talk about it a little bit and some of the great things you guys are doing?
Yeah, so Hope Happens Here is a new organization that started last year. There's a lot of schools in the NE 10 that have had a Hope Happens Here chapter at their school. And just last year, Stonehill was approached to start one. It's a student athlete-led mental health awareness organization. So last year, a couple guys on the hockey team kind of spearheaded starting this group, and they reached out to some student athletes, and they reached out to me, asked if I wanted to be a part of it. And just learning more about the group, it was something that seemed really important and something I wanted to get involved with. So what we kind of do on campus is we run events and do things through social media and other communication channels to try and raise mental health awareness. And the goal of the organization is to kind of end the stigma around mental health and admitting that people struggle with that. And just being part of that group for the past few years, it's been really cool because done some really amazing things. Just 2 weeks ago, out on the quad, we ran our first event of the year, which was nice. Took a while for us to get our events up and running this semester, just with all the changes and the restrictions. But we had an event on the quad where they had 2 food trucks come in. There was lawn games set up around. We also had a table where we were selling t-shirts and had a station where we had students come by and write down different coping strategies for dealing with mental health. And what we did with that is we put it together in a bulletin board, and it's outside of the weight room in the sports complex. So just that group is definitely one of my favorite things that I've been a part of here at Stonehill, just because it's a great community of student athletes, and we're all really passionate about working towards improving the stigma around mental health. And it's been just a great resource to be a part of, and just also help with the community.
Great. Luke, just talk about, how things are kind of going, on the academic side for you guys. And, I'll follow up with Coach here. You guys really do perform in the classroom as well as on the field. And as obviously with Mike just talked about, with Hope Happens here outside of both of those entities. So just talk about the academic life here right now. And, I'll follow up with Coach as well.
Yeah, of course. So I think for our team, especially, I think a lot of guys are dedicated in the classroom, just like on the field. Just from my perspective, and I'm sure Michael's the same way, we see a lot of our teammates, especially the younger guys, taking it upon themselves and taking the initiative to go, to the library, late at night when, most people probably don't want to do that. But we have a lot of guys that are here and taking academics seriously just as much as soccer, which is a great thing. And I think that's why our team overall is so successful in the classroom, just because we have a lot of guys that will go the extra mile, just like they will on the field, for doing work, and even doing work ahead of time. A lot of guys here are really good with time management. Obviously the younger guys, they develop a better schedule and how to use their time management wisely. But for a lot of the returning guys, I don't think I've ever been part of a team that's had this good of an outcome in terms of time management. A lot of guys are really good about getting work done that's potentially due the next week or even a couple weeks beyond. So it's really good. And, if guys do struggle, they know the resources and outlets that they have here on campus, which is a great thing. And they always have, Michael or I to, answer any questions in terms of where these resources are and stuff. So, and I think, like I said earlier on, I think in terms of academics this year, it is a bit of a curveball just because we do have some classes online and some in person. But I think all students and even the faculty, it's a big hit on them as well. But I think everyone is working together and making it work. And I think a lot of people are getting a good and successful outcome. But I just think our guys are really, they're doing a lot of good things in the classroom and not just on the field. So it's really good to see, because obviously there are consequences for student athletes who struggle in the classroom. But for us, I mean, a lot of guys, it's not because they have to do it, it's because they want to do it. And it's just it's a great mentality to see around campus. So.
Coach, question to you, your team does it in the classroom, very well. And the two of your examples here with you today, just talk about your accomplishments as a team and what you're able to do in the classroom.
One of the benefits of recruiting high academic students out of high school so they can get high academic scholarships, which makes it a lot more attainable to come to Stonehill and play for us. The benefit is when they get here, they're already ingrained in to work hard and to do the work. So if I have a roster of 28 guys, generally maybe 3 guys might be under 3.0. The culture of the team is these guys work hard in the classroom, in the weight room. They're always out kicking around in the field, even when I'm not allowed to practice with them, but they get their work done. So it allows me, I don't have to focus and waste energy on, watching them. They're getting it done themselves. The culture of the team, these guys are self-starters on their own, and they hold themselves accountable, and that kind of rubs off on the other guys. And, there's a few that might have a rough semester, and we have the services for that. But I mean, I think last fall or last spring, our team GPA was 3.5. Might have been a little help from COVID in there, but we'll take it. 3.3 is generally the average. We're usually one of the higher ones in team on campus for a team, and even in the league. So that just allows me to not waste time on things that, we can focus more on improving the program, improving recruiting, practice sessions, because these guys are getting their done. And I try to be conscious of their time. We don't overdo it here. I try to be accommodating to their time. I've had kids, even this semester, the freshman coach, I'm a little behind. Can I miss team lift today? The answer is always yes. I just tell them, yes, but what time are you going to go on your own? To hold them accountable that, you have to have time management, as Luke said, but still got to get the job done. There's plenty of hours in the week to get both done here. And, some of that's learned early on, and the guys have just done an excellent job of it. And, it makes it more enjoyable for me that we can just focus on the fun stuff, which is playing and practicing and training.
Great, thanks. Frank, I'm going to apologize in advance if I get the last name wrong, but question from Frank is Susan, a parent. Coach, this is the $1 million question. What's the spring schedule? What are you going to have? And can you just talk to us where kind of things stand right now? Obviously, the league's continuing to work, but just kind of talk about what the spring hopefully will look like.
The plan is right now, I saw a draft of a schedule that I haven't received the final schedule this week. There was supposed to be a 7-day waiting period. There's still a lot of logistics to work out at other schools within the conference. The news changes weekly and daily. I tend to focus each week here, week to week in 2-week increments. But with the goal of let's get playing real games in March. And in a typical spring, we would play 5 scrimmages from the middle of March to April. But now we're going to have a more structured season in the Northeast 10. We're not going to play everybody. But the plan is for us to play a 10-game schedule starting mid-March through the end of April, because I think, we're putting a lot of sacrifices this semester to keep the school healthy and the players healthy and the students healthy. And I just think the logistics of it are still being worked out, and the admin staff has, done a lot of work. And all summer long, they were creating schedules and crossing them out. So a lot of people have redone schedules, and a lot of work is put in. And I just know that everybody's making their best effort to make it happen in the spring, and the other schools in the conference too. So we just, we need some help from the scientists and, the country to get healthy, but the plan is for us to play in March, starting mid-April, which will give us, plenty of time to get in shape when the guys come back from campus. So it'll be a little bit more, it won't be a full 18-game schedule, but it's going to be a lot more structured than the normal spring. And, it gives us a reason to train, for a carrot, to motivate us, because just doing practices all year long, candidly, that will get very frustrating. So we need games. The guys deserve it. We need everybody on board of keeping the community safe. And I know the admins have done everything they can. We have the field, we have the facilities here. We have a great testing program. Stonewall, we're very lucky. And some other schools may not be as fortunate as us, and but I can only worry about what we're doing and what we're planning for.
Mike and Luke. Mike, you're a senior. How much is it important to you to get something next spring? And and Luke, same thing. Just how much are you guys looking forward to having a schedule next spring?
Yeah, having a season where we can play games is definitely important. No, for the spring athletes, last year it was really tough for them to lose their season, and then for the fall, and at least for some of the winter season, to be canceled has been tough on us. It's definitely something that's important, and we kind of all come to play college soccer, and all student athletes kind of have the dream to play in college. And then when that's taken away from you because of an extenuated circumstance, it can be really frustrating. So it's definitely something that's important. We appreciate how the school has communicated with us on the process of how they're going about organizing the spring schedule, but still being in this period of unknown is definitely difficult because yes, the plan's in place and Stonehill's capable of going through with it, but it's a matter of if the other schools in our conference are able to play in the season in a safe way. And it's also if the league is gonna still have the season. So at least knowing that there's a chance and there's a plan in place to play, that is something that's definitely promising and helping us keep our heads up as we go forward.
And yeah, I think the big thing is we're just trying to stay hopeful. I think what we're doing right now is and being safe, but still practicing and do what we can here. Obviously, we can only control what we do here, but we're hoping that something good happens in terms of our spring schedule in the spring. Obviously, we want to give these guys one last season, one last memorable season, and play with them one last season. And I know just from being here last spring and just all the training we put in from the moment we got back for second semester last year, we're just itching to play. Obviously, we've been practicing for a couple months now, and then slowly got into smaller sided games. But I think we're just itching to see different faces on the opposing side and just play. And I think we have a lot to prove, especially from last year. Last year wasn't one of our most successful seasons. And I think a lot of the returners, at least, we able to kind of have this chip on our shoulder that we're not gonna, be taken lightly this year. And we have a lot of good teams in our conference, but I think we're just ready to go and ready to prove that, we're a serious threat in the NE10, and, we can make a name for ourselves. Just because, again, last year, we struggled with injuries and stuff. But, yeah, I think we're just excited and we're staying hopeful. And we're just praying for the best at this point. So.
Great, thanks, guys. Any other questions from anybody else? I guess if you wanted to even pipe in and on the microphone, you could at this time. All right. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Lisa Richards to talk about the Go Hill Challenge that's going on. It's certainly specific to men's soccer as well.
Sure. Thank you, Doug. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to share my screen just to share a visual with you. So last year at this time, we were celebrating our first Go Hill Day. Men's soccer was one of the 5 teams that had a home contest that day, and we had a big tent out at WB Mason Stadium. And the idea was to kind of promote the Go Hill Fund, which benefits our student athletes, get people excited about coming back to campus and cheering on the teams. Obviously, we were unable to do that in person this year, so we came up with a virtual fundraiser to virtually fill WB Mason Stadium. So the idea is to make a gift either to the Go Hill Fund or to the team of your choice. We came up with some suggested gift amounts representing the seats in the stadium. And the exciting part is men's soccer has a challenge from one of your soccer alums, Robert Flynn from the class of '87, has offered to match all gifts to men's soccer up to $5,000. So the Go Hill Challenge launched last week and it goes through December 1st, which is Giving Tuesday. So if you'd like to participate, our website is stonehillalumni.org/Go Hill Challenge. We'll send it out to you afterwards as well. But this is just another visual to show you this is what Luke and Michael look like in action. You're seeing them today sitting in a classroom. This is them out on the field. So between the two of them, the entire team and Coach Reddish, your support of the program really does go a long way, as it's been mentioned. So this is just a way for us to come up with an option to support our students in a virtual way this semester. And we really hope that next fall we'll have everybody back out there to join us for games in person. Thanks.
Coach, can you, I mean, you just have anything to add with that and just, talk about this challenge as
Yeah,
well?
I mean, first, I want to thank Bob. He's a great man. He's been a good friend of the program. And, just going to some of these alumni events, that the few ones that we had, meeting people like him and Rich and Jamie Q I see on the call. It's been fun for me to meet guys that I didn't play with, and they still care about the program, and it means a lot. And I know our guys appreciate it. So if we can continue to keep improving that, and it's exciting for all of us because the school has done a lot of great things. If you drive through campus now, it doesn't look like the school we all attended. And it's just a beautiful place, a special place. And I just want to make the soccer program the best experience for the guys, and the alumni helping out doing that is great. And, from the guys in the field working hard, we have a new group of freshmen. There's a lot to be excited about here. As the boys said, we have a little bit of our bad taste in our mouth from 2019 as we limped into the finish line there, and our depth was challenged, and it wasn't how we drew it up. But I miss guys like Keegan already that are on this call, and never really got to say goodbye to them properly since they just all of a sudden just had to leave in March. But I will make it up to them in the future. And I always enjoyed taking my seniors to dinner right before graduation. Never got that opportunity, but I will make that up to them either at another time or at one of these future alumni events. So that's what makes it better. This program special. If we can improve the participation and just socially, just the network of people there's just a lot of great people that I think will enjoy getting to know each other and supporting the guys. And then the benefit is to the guys that are here now and to the guys that will be here in the future. So for me, it's been a focus the past few years, and I'm extremely pleased that the response that we've gotten. I thank everybody for it, and I hope it continues.
Great, thanks, Coach. Barring any other questions from anybody, I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. We have one more coffee with the coaches panel next Friday before the holiday. Women's basketball head coach Trisha Brown will be on with two of her captains, and then after the holiday, we have two more to round out the semester. Men's basketball coach Chris Kraus on Friday, December 4th. And ice hockey head coach David Borges on Friday, December 18th. All those at noon, just like today. So do feel free to join us for any of those as well. Otherwise, thanks everybody for joining us this afternoon.
All right, thanks, Doug. Thanks, everybody.